The bass hammered against the walls of the Chelsea nightclub, a physical presence in the air thick with cigar smoke and expensive perfume. Lights sliced through the haze, painting fleeting patterns on the crowd. Leo sat in the corner of a leather booth, his posture slumped, the collar of his shirt pulled up just enough to hide the sharp, red mark on his collarbone. He felt a dull ache throb through his body, a phantom memory of the night before. In the center of the booth, Connor, a man who inherited his fortune and wore it like a cheap suit, draped an arm around an aspiring model. Egged on by their circle, he laughed, took a swig of champagne, and tilted the model's chin up for a theatrical kiss. But then his eyes caught something across the room. He shoved the model away without a second thought. She tumbled to the floor with a startled cry that he completely ignored. His gaze was fixed. Everyone followed his line of sight to a cocktail waitress moving through the crowd. Her dark uniform made her pale skin seem almost luminous. She navigated the throng with a practiced grace, her expression a cool, distant mask that was utterly out of place in the raucous environment. A lock of dark hair fell across her cheek, and for Connor, it was like a physical touch. His eyes lit up with the thrill of a new hunt. The group murmured with understanding. One of them helped the disgruntled model to her feet, pressing a few crisp $100 bills into her hand and explaining that her services were no longer required. The cash erased her indignation instantly, and she departed with a smile. Connor leaned back, the picture of lazy confidence. He posed a question to the group, his voice laced with amusement, asking how long they thought it would take him to conquer his new target. One of his friends wagered it would take 3 days, tops. Another, stroking his chin, thought it might take a month, noting her reserved demeanor. Someone scoffed, questioning if they were doubting Connor's charm, while another joked that it was an honor for any girl to be noticed by him, considering the jewelry he casually gifted could cover her salary for a decade. Instead of making his move, Connor's playful gaze shifted to the quiet corner, landing on Leo. He asked what Leo thought. Leo's face was a stony mask. He offered no opinion. It wasn't long ago that he had been the ringleader of this circus, the one known for his fleeting passions and lavish pursuits. He'd mastered the art of the chase, showering his targets with fine dining, whispered promises, and gifts, only to discard them with a feigned innocence, asking if they had foolishly fallen in love. He remembered the red-rimmed eyes of the stubborn ones, the ugly crying of the soft ones, the cold demands for explanation from the serious ones. He'd simply told them he wasn't in love anymore. It was that simple. One had even fled to Europe, expecting a grand romantic gesture of pursuit, only to return 6 months later to find Leo had already moved on through several other lovers. He was a monster, he knew that. Their pain had been meaningless to him. Now, payback was a physical reality. His chest, his back, his throat, everything burned. He remembered the previous evening, on the living room sofa, with Ethan's hands gripping his hips. Ethan's beautiful, terrifying face had been close to his voice a soft poison. He'd reminded Leo of his own careless words from years ago, about how people who betray true hearts should swallow 1,000 needles. But Ethan loved him too much for that, he'd whispered. So Leo would have to swallow something else instead. Leo felt a flicker of his old self, a dull, lifeless defiance. He had told Ethan to do whatever he wanted. It meant nothing to him. Now, watching Connor, he hoped with a dark satisfaction that the man would meet a similar fate, a spectacular fall from grace. Connor looked at him with a mix of pity and scorn, remarking how pathetic it was. He commented on the strange luck of Leo's family, how they had been on the brink of bankruptcy but managed to claw their way back by latching onto the Thorn Corporation. He made a crude remark about how Leo had used his body to secure the deal. Leo didn't rise to the bait. Seeing that Leo's fiery temper had been extinguished, Connor shrugged and finally turned his full attention to the waitress. He smoothed his hair and walked towards her, his usual arrogance replaced by a carefully constructed mask of cultured charm and effortless power. As Connor approached, Leo saw the waitress's face clearly for the first time. It was sharp and lovely, a stark beauty that stood out in the decadent club. When the handsome, obviously wealthy man stopped in front of her, her eyes showed not flattery, but a flicker of surprise and deep suspicion. Connor, oblivious, began his smooth, practiced lines. The scene dissolved in Leo's mind, replaced by a memory. The same question, a different bar, a different target. He had leaned over the counter of a downtown speakeasy, his voice smooth as the whiskey he ordered. He had asked the handsome young man if he might have the honor of buying him a drink. The bartender, Ethan, wore the standard black vest and white shirt, but on him it looked like couture. His face was a striking canvas of sharp angles and calm, focused eyes. He had a straight nose and pale lips. Tall, with slender, graceful hands, he moved with an artist's precision, stirring a cocktail with a long, silver spoon, the ice clinking softly, rhythmically, against the glass. Leo, who had even taken professional bartending classes to impress his conquests, found himself utterly captivated. Every movement was a blend of strength and beauty that resonated deep within him. When Ethan served the drink to its intended customer, his voice was cool and clear as he wished them to enjoy their godfather. Leo had immediately made his move. Ethan had glanced at him, his voice polite but firm, thanking him for the offer but explaining that employees were not allowed to accept personal invitations from guests. Undeterred, Leo leaned casually against the bar, closing the distance between them. He could see the line of Ethan's collarbone beneath his shirt. He swallowed, his gaze lingering. He told Ethan that it was fine, that he could see he was busy, and he would wait. The next night, Ethan arrived for his shift to find Leo behind the bar. He frowned slightly. Leo winked, explaining he'd gotten permission from the manager to borrow the space for a moment. With a flourish, he muddled mint and lime in a highball glass. White rum and simple syrup were poured with expert precision, followed by crushed ice. He stirred it rapidly with a bar spoon, the ice whispering against the glass. Then, he topped it with soda water, the bubbles fizzing to the surface. Garnishing it with a sprig of mint, he pushed the frosted, glistening drink towards Ethan. He asked slyly if Ethan knew what it was. After a brief silence, Ethan's cool voice replied, "A mojito." The memory evaporated, replaced by the steam-filled air of a bathroom. Ethan held him against the cold tile, one hand on his waist, the other pressing him down. Leo's head was thrown back, a weak whimper escaping his lips. Ethan's breath was hot against his ear as he asked if Leo remembered the first drink he'd ever made for him. It had been 8 years. Leo couldn't recall. He had made countless drinks for countless lovers. The names all blurred together. When Leo failed to answer, a dark smile touched Ethan's lips. He kissed Leo's earlobe, then whispered that it seemed Leo had forgotten just how many people he'd entertained. With that, he wrapped Leo in a towel and carried him from the bathroom, not to the bedroom, but down to the basement. In the stark light of the cellar, surrounded by objects that made Leo's blood run cold, Ethan had pointed to the various implements. He had smiled, a chilling, joyless expression, and told Leo they would play a guessing game. For every wrong answer, a new toy. Bloody Mary? Wrong. Ocean Breeze? Wrong. Singapore Sling? Wrong. Leo's composure shattered. He had screamed, begging to know what the drink was, pleading with Ethan to stop. Ethan's grip tightened on his shoulders, his face a mask of agony, a mix of a laugh and a sob. He had cried out, asking if Leo had ever, in all these years, let him go. Tears streamed down his face as his carefully constructed composure finally broke. He yelled that Leo had promised they would get married, that he would love him forever. Ethan had confessed he didn't care about the others who came before. He recalled the day he had won first prize in a competition, using the money to commission 2 rings, only for Leo to call and break up with him. He had called and called, but Leo never answered. He had searched every bar in the city until he finally found him. His voice rose to a raw scream, his eyes red with pain and despair, as he described what he saw that night. He had seen Leo on a sofa, surrounded by others, kissing them, flirting, while he stood there, devastated, feeling like a stray dog. And now, after all this, Leo couldn't even remember the first drink. Ethan's voice dropped to a choked whisper. He pulled the silver chain around Leo's neck tighter, their foreheads touching. The manic rage subsided, replaced by that terrifying, gentle smile. He asked Leo to go to hell with him. It was a mojito, a symbol of first love, romance, and affection. But Ethan wasn't his first love. The romance was just lust. The affection was just a fleeting hormonal whim. It was all a lie. The memory struck Leo with the force of a physical blow. Back in the nightclub, Connor and the waitress blurred into an echo of himself and Ethan, the beginning of this whole twisted affair. When his vision cleared, he found that Connor's friends had vanished, their expressions a mixture of fear and awe. A tall, familiar figure was now seated beside him. A warm touch on his neck made him flinch. Ethan's voice, now a deep, seductive baritone so different from the clean, crisp voice of his youth, asked softly why Leo was here. Leo's back went rigid. He tried to keep his voice steady, explaining he just came to relax, not expecting to run into his old crowd. He added quickly that he wasn't with them. "Good boy," Ethan murmured. He knew Leo was in no condition for any mischief. He playfully patted Leo's lower back, and a wince of pain crossed Leo's face, which made Ethan chuckle softly. He settled back against the sofa, one arm around Leo, and watched Connor's performance with the detached amusement of a king observing court gestures. Leo sat beside him, a beautiful bird in an invisible cage. His former friends stared, their faces unreadable. In their memories, Leo was the untouchable playboy. Now, he was the possession of the very man he had once discarded. Connor, a master of seduction, was making progress. The waitress's wariness was beginning to melt away. Ethan yawned, then stood up, pulling Leo with him. As they passed Connor's table, Ethan's voice was casual, pitched just for the 3 of them to hear. He recited Connor's history like a rap sheet. 35 public relationships, countless secret affairs with both men and women, a history of lurid parties, and 5 terminated pregnancies forced upon his lovers. He mentioned that just moments ago, Connor had been preparing to swap saliva with a model he'd just met. The waitress's expression shifted from surprise to shock, then to pure disgust. Connor's suave facade crumbled, his handsome face twisting into a mask of rage. He hissed Ethan's name, his voice sharp with fury, accusing him of lying. Ethan remained unfazed, his beautiful face taking on a cool, malicious edge. He simply stated that Connor knew exactly what he had and hadn't done. Leo tried to make himself invisible, sensing the dangerous shift in Ethan's mood. He knew the scene had dredged up ugly memories for Ethan, and that his own night was about to get much worse. He resigned himself to his fate, thinking grimly that he should probably call his on-call doctor in the morning. He had tried to fight, but it only ended with a dislocated shoulder. He had tried to run, but it only ended with a chain on his ankle. He had tried calling his so-called friends for help, and they had delivered him right back to Ethan's doorstep. He was out of options. The waitress walked away in disgust, leaving Connor fuming. Ethan, his own mood soured, took Leo home. That night, fresh pain was layered upon old wounds until Leo felt his body might break. As Ethan's cruelty mounted, Leo found himself defending his past self, searching for any small virtue. He protested that he was always careful about his health, that he never participated in the kind of parties Connor threw, and that when he was with Ethan, he had been exclusive. Ethan's teeth grazed his earlobe, his movements below becoming more forceful. He asked what Leo's point was. A sob broke from Leo's throat. He begged Ethan not to take his anger out on him, whispering that he couldn't take any more. Ethan kissed him, silencing his protests. "You can take it," he murmured against his lips, his voice dark and venomous. "You were so good at moving on, weren't you? So fickle. You're just begging for this." He accused Leo of going out that night to entice someone, commenting on how little he was wearing. Leo wanted to scream that a shirt and trousers were perfectly normal attire. The world dissolved into a cycle of pain and brief consciousness. Through a hazy fog, he heard a doctor's gentle admonishment, advising Ethan to show some restraint, mentioning a minor tear and recommending abstinence for a while. When he finally woke, he was clean, dressed in soft cotton pajamas, and the pain had been soothed with ointment. Materially, Ethan never deprived him of anything. His life was as luxurious as it had ever been. He tried to sit up, but a sharp cry of pain escaped him as pressure hit his bruised body. He rolled over, paw on the bed, and rested for the entire day. As evening approached, just before Ethan was due home, he felt a spark of an idea. He asked the butler to bring a set of bartending tools to the kitchen. The butler hesitated but complied. Leo then ordered limes, mint, soda water, and a good white rum to be delivered. He was a little rusty, and his first attempt was a failure. But the second time, his hands moved with familiar confidence. He took a sip. The chill of the ice, the coolness of the mint, the tartness of the lime, and the sweet warmth of the rum filled his mouth. The taste was familiar, yet felt entirely new. He closed his eyes, not with nostalgia, but with a heavy sense of oppression. He poured the drink out, washed the glass, and started again. As he was placing the final sprig of mint as a garnish, the kitchen door opened. Ethan stood there, his eyes fixed on the mojito in Leo's hand. He was frozen. Leo acted nonchalant. He inserted a straw and slowly pushed the glass across the counter. "Here," he said softly, "I remembered. The first time we met, I made you a mojito." Ethan didn't mock him. His eyes were just slightly red as he silently took the glass and took a small sip. His throat moved as he swallowed. His voice was hoarse when he spoke. 8 years. He looked up, his gaze intense. "Do you regret it?" The smart thing to do would be to say yes, to fall into his arms and profess his undying love. But they both knew it would be a lie. Leo's flaw was his inability to commit. The idea of eternal love, of being with one person forever, had always felt suffocating. He'd loved pairs once, but even that he grew tired of. He was, at his core, a selfish, heartless person. At the time, he had genuinely liked Ethan. He had even broken his personal rule of always being the dominant one in his relationships, just for him. Ethan was special in that way. But he was also not special, because the thought of spending a lifetime with him had never once crossed Leo's mind. The breakup wasn't due to some tragic misunderstanding or childhood trauma. It was simply because Ethan had become too clingy, too possessive. If Ethan hadn't become a titan of industry, if Leo's family hadn't faltered, Leo would have continued his life of endless indulgence, eventually settling into a loveless marriage of convenience, as was expected of him. Ethan would have been a forgotten name, a footnote in a long list of past lovers. Whether you regret it or not, Ethan said, his voice flat, "You belong to me now, Leo. You can't run." He chewed on the straw, the corners of his eyes tinged with red. It was a face that could make anyone swoon. And Leo couldn't understand why a man so successful would still be obsessed with a past humiliation instead of finding someone who would love him wholly. Leo's feelings for him were a tangled mess. Fear of his obsession, resentment for his lost freedom, a lingering guilt, a tiny spark of affection, and a strange, unnameable sorrow. But he knew it was true. He couldn't run. His own father had served him up on a silver platter and would never allow him to defy Ethan, not when the family business depended on it. And even if he did escape, he would be caught. The thought of being dragged back to that basement was enough to quell any rebellious ideas. For now, he would have to make the best of his situation. Besides, the Ethan of today was even more handsome than the boy he remembered, having shed his youthful awkwardness for a polished, mature charm that was devastatingly attractive. Leo was, after all, a creature of aesthetics. It was hard not to be captivated. But the innocent, quiet boy he once knew was gone forever. Leo laughed at himself, a bitter, self-deprecating sound. He was such a bastard, mourning the very person he had destroyed. One morning, Ethan was waiting in the living room dressed in casual clothes and sneakers, a backpack at his feet. Without his usual tailored suits, he looked younger, more like a college student than a ruthless CEO. Leo yawned, rubbing his eyes, and asked if he didn't have to work. Ethan's voice was quiet. "You forgot what day it is, didn't you?" Leo sighed, his hand going to the buttons of his pajamas in a gesture of weary surrender. He told Ethan to just skip the guessing games. He didn't remember anniversaries or birthdays or first dates. His memory wiped itself clean after every breakup. He said if Ethan was angry, he could take it out on him in bed, but to please stop asking questions he couldn't answer. The mojito incident had been traumatic enough. "It's our anniversary," Ethan said through gritted teeth. "I want to take you on a date." Leo stared for a moment. "Okay." He went to his closet and, after a moment's thought, chose a white t-shirt, jeans, and sneakers, mirroring Ethan's outfit. He had a flicker of an idea what this might be like, remembering dates from their past. Holding hands at an amusement park, sharing popcorn at the movies, the sweet, simple bliss of it all. He hadn't been on a proper date in the 6 months he'd been with Ethan again. He felt a flicker of genuine anticipation. That anticipation died when Ethan drove them out of the city and pulled up to the entrance of Bear Mountain State Park. He watched in silence as Ethan bought 2 adult tickets. "A date," Leo said, his voice flat. "Is you taking me hiking?" Ethan bought 2 bottles of water from a vending machine, handed one to Leo, and took a long drink from his own. "Is there a problem? I checked the data on all your past relationships. You've never been hiking on a date." Leo was speechless. Hiking on their anniversary. Only Ethan would think of that. His dates were about romance and relaxation, not getting sweaty and exhausted on a mountainside. He watched Ethan's easy movements and a memory surfaced. An amusement park years ago. Leo had been thirsty and was about to buy a drink, asking Ethan what he wanted. Ethan had stared at the prices in the refrigerated case, his handsome face flushed with a mixture of embarrassment and pain. He had mumbled that he wasn't thirsty, that he'd brought his own water. Leo, seeing his chapped lips, had teased him, threatening to buy the most expensive drink on the menu. Panicked, Ethan had quickly grabbed the cheapest bottle of water he could find. Leo had laughed, buying the same one for himself and playfully pressing the cold bottle against Ethan's cheek, asking if they were like a matching set. Ethan had blushed, shy and endearing. A cold bottle suddenly pressed against his own cheek, jolting him back to the present. The shy boy was gone, replaced by a handsome, mature man whose smile didn't quite reach his eyes. Ethan's voice was laced with a cool irony. "What are you thinking about now? Another one of your little lovers?" "No," Leo said quickly, afraid of the consequences of a misunderstanding. "I was thinking of you. At the amusement park. You didn't want to spend the money, so you picked the $7 water." Ethan's expression softened slightly. "I thought you'd forgotten." They started up the mountain path. The air was crisp, and the sun was warm but not harsh. By the time they reached the halfway point, Leo was winded, leaning over with his hands on his knees. Ethan, a few steps ahead, turned and extended a hand. His fingers were long and elegant. "Tired already? Need me to pull you?" "A man is never tired," Leo retorted, pushing himself forward to walk beside him. He wondered aloud how Ethan, who spent his days in an office, was still in such good shape. Ethan smiled. "Thank you. If I weren't in good shape, I couldn't keep you happy. You, on the other hand, seem to faint quite a bit. 30 must be a tough age for a man." Leo grumbled about how Ethan's shamelessness had grown along with his age. They reached the summit just as the sun was beginning to set. The peak was deserted. The sun was a perfect, molten gold orb sinking behind the distant ridges, painting the clouds in shades of orange and pink. It was beautiful. Ethan stood near the edge of a cliff, the golden light tracing the sharp line of his profile. But Leo could sense a coldness emanating from him, a deep and hidden pain. Leo stepped closer, his voice hesitant. "Ethan?" Ethan turned, a strange smile on his face. "Leo, have you ever thought about pushing me from here?" Leo froze, his blood running cold. "What? No. Ethan, I've never thought that. What are you doing? Get over here." He was terrified Ethan might just jump. Seeing Leo's genuine panic, Ethan stepped away from the edge. Leo grabbed his arm, his heart pounding. "What is wrong with you? You've really never thought about it?" Ethan asked calmly. "Why would I want you dead?" Leo exclaimed, exasperated. "What good would that do me? I may be a bastard, but I'm not a murderer. You overpowering me and trapping me is a testament to your skill. I can accept that I lost. But killing you? Do you really think I'm smart enough to handle that kind of mess?" A tense silence hung between them. Then, the raw emotion in Ethan's voice returned. "If you don't want to kill me," he asked, his gaze unwavering, "then do you love me?" The question caught Leo off guard. He thought for a full minute before answering. "I like you." Ethan was not satisfied. "To what extent?" "To the extent that I'm willing to come back to you," Leo said, choosing his words carefully. "And as you know, I never go back for anyone. Not for anything." He leaned in and kissed him, a placating gesture. "Besides, I can't go anywhere. I'm all yours. Does love really matter at this point?" Ethan's hand came up to cup his jaw, and his mouth captured Leo's in a kiss that was hard and demanding. "It matters," he mumbled against his lips. That night, in the throes of passion, Leo whispered the words into his ear. "Ethan, I love you." Ethan's body went still, and his eyes, when they met Leo's, were shining with unshed tears. "Liar," he bit out, his voice thick with emotion. Lying in bed later, listening to the shower run, Leo was scrolling through his phone when a notification popped up. A $2 million wire transfer from his father, followed by a text. His father was celebrating. The family company was saved, back on its feet, and he was offering Leo a way out. He could help him ditch Ethan and return to his old life. Leo's mouth twisted. He remembered everything. How his father, discovering Ethan's lingering obsession, had drugged his drink and delivered him unconscious to Ethan's villa, all to save his precious company. A note had been tucked in his pocket. "Son, I'm counting on you. Save me, save the company." His father, the man who preached that emotional debts were the hardest to repay, had thrown his own son to the wolves. The hypocrisy was staggering. He slowly typed a reply, his heart beating a strange, heavy rhythm. He told his father that kicking away the person who saved you seemed like a bad idea. His father's reply was immediate, full of shock. He couldn't believe Leo, the heartless Casanova, had developed feelings. Leo replied that he had. People change. Then he typed the words that felt both like a lie and a startling truth. "Dad, I think I'm in love with him." And another, "I was such a monster to him. I deserved this." His father called, his voice frantic, demanding to know what Ethan had done to him. He offered to pay Ethan back tenfold to get his old son back. Leo cut him off. He told him not to interfere, that he didn't want to die in Ethan's bed. He said he had no plans to return home and that his father should just focus on not getting swindled again. And he added he expected a raise in his allowance for his mental distress. He knew Ethan would have safeguards in place. He would never allow Leo to escape and return to his old life. The gamble was too high, the potential punishment too horrific to contemplate. He had made his choice. This gilded cage was, for now, enough. When his father started yelling, asking if Leo didn't realize Ethan was behind the company's near collapse in the first place, Leo calmly said that he'd suspected as much. His father was floored. Leo explained that knowing changed nothing. He couldn't win against Ethan. Pretending to be ignorant was the safest path. Every time he felt a surge of anger, he would look into Ethan's eyes, see the vortex of love and hate swirling there, and his anger would curdle into guilt. When Ethan came out of the bathroom, wrapped in a white robe, water droplets clinging to his eyelashes, Leo felt his resolve solidify. Whatever questions he had could wait. He was too beautiful. Leo walked over, wrapped his arms around Ethan's neck, and kissed him deeply. Later, as Leo was drifting off to sleep, Ethan's soft voice cut through the darkness. "Leo, this time will you leave me again?" He thought Leo was asleep, but he opened his eyes. In the quiet of the room, his voice was clear and steady. "No, not this time, Ethan. I won't leave you again." Life settled into a new rhythm. His father, accepting defeat, continued to send money and urged Leo to leverage his position for more business partnerships between their companies. The meetings between Ethan and his father, shown on financial news reports, were a masterclass in false smiles. Leo, needing something to do with his time, found a job as a bartender in a quiet, upscale lounge. One evening, a devastatingly handsome man in a bespoke suit walked in and took a seat at the bar. Leo looked up, a flicker of surprise in his eyes, but his voice was professional. "Sir, the usual? A mojito?" Ethan smiled, a genuine, relaxed smile that reached his eyes. "No," he said. "Tonight I'd like an Alexander."